Hello, everybody. AstroMommy here. So, this week we're going to be taking a look at November 4th through the 10th, 2024. I'm going to walk you through each day and we're going to look at the planetary positions and what transits the moon and the planets are going to be making that day. And my intention for you guys with these weekly horoscopes is that you can watch it if you'd like to get an overview of what is coming up that week, but then you can also navigate to that particular day that you're watching in the description below by using the timestamps for that particular day. That way, if you'd like to connect with the planets and see what's happening every single day, you can do so. I'm going to try to make each day's horoscope kind of short and sweet so that it doesn't take up too much of your day, but that you get an overview of what is coming for that day. And then I also have picked a card for each day. Now, all of my tarot decks were screaming at me this week and wanted to be used. So we have a different card to go along with each day's horoscope. And then I also have my Light Seers deck ready to go to pick a tool card to go along with the card that I already picked. Because so many decks wanted to be used, I went ahead and picked a card ahead of time for each day. Of course, I picked that spontaneously and whatnot. But I also want to pick a card in the moment as I'm doing the reading because I think we'll get greater context that way. All right, let's go ahead and get right into it. I'm going to go ahead and minimize my screen here. Oh, and as I go throughout the horoscopes for this week, if I mention any times I am talking about Eastern time, so go ahead and do the calculations in your head if you are in a different time zone, which I know many of you are, but it's just easier for me if I just stay in one time zone and I work from there and you guys do the calculations for your own locations, okay? And we're going to start on Monday, November 4th, 2024. So let's orient ourselves with the chart here. The sun is now at 12 degrees Scorpio, 38 minutes. You can see that the sun is in applying trine to Saturn in Pisces at 47 minutes, still retrograde. The moon is going to be in Sagittarius all day. She will make an opposition to Jupiter. She will conjoin Venus. So there's some trying things going on with that, as well as some beautiful things by the end of the day. We do have Mars here, who has freshly ingressed into Leo. He came into Leo late last night or early in the morning on Monday at 12:09 a.m., depending on your time zone. Mars in Leo. Mars is going to be stationing retrograde at 6 degrees of Leo on December 6, 2024. And then he will go back into Cancer. So we're only going to 6 degrees. So he's actually moving pretty slowly right now, not moving at his normal speed. All right. So now let me take you through the transits of the day. Early in the morning, the main thing that happened is that the moon made a square to Saturn in Pisces. Additionally, she also made a semi-square to Pluto. The sun made a sesquiquadrate to Neptune, and the moon also perfected a sesquiquadrate to Mars. But the main thing that we're thinking about here is the moon square Saturn. So that can bring up a lot of, issues of feeling blocked or inhibited in some way. It's a reality check moment when the moon makes a hard aspect to Saturn. And it also, with the moon in Sagittarius and with her approaching conjunction to Venus that happens later in the day on Monday, there could be the feeling of being very justified in what you believe in and feeling supported by your friends and family that are around you. But with the semi-square and the sesquiquadrate energy that I talked about, there's going to be delays and setbacks. It's like with the moon sesquiquadrate Mars, there are delays and setbacks to what you want to get done. There's things that have to happen first before you can take action on things. But that moon square Saturn is going to be the biggest thing that's going on, and that could permeate a lot of the day. There could be a feeling of frustration, like you're stuck at a red light. This could also cause sadness or feelings of isolation, feeling like authority figures are challenging you in some way. So the best thing to do with that is to stay strong and be patient. Now, in the afternoon, the sun perfects his trine to Saturn. The moon moves ahead and perfects an opposition to Jupiter. And the moon also perfects a trine to Chiron. And this also reactivates the sextile that's still engaged between Jupiter and Chiron. Okay, so the sun trine Saturn is really good for being firm in your actions, being decisive, and having determination and perseverance in what you are going towards. The sun represents our ambitions, our plot line, and what the storyline is of our lives, like where we're going in our lives. And when there's a nice trine to Saturn, which is the nature of Jupiter, that represents those two planets being in harmony. So Saturn represents things like limitations and blocks, but it can also represent mastery and having focus and discipline to do something. So there's something about the sun in Scorpio in a nice water trine with Saturn that represents something about maintaining your position or being able to maintain your position. And it's also about shining light on a boundary, but it's a good boundary. It's something that's being illuminated that is positive. It's a boundary that we want to be there. And it's also about staying firm in your convictions. So we've got the fixed sign Scorpio with the water sign Pisces. So we've got staying firm in your convictions and not wavering with that fixed energy. And the Pisces energy is, having a higher purpose or being compassionate or, connecting with something on the spiritual level, that's something that is more than the physical level. So I like to see the sun in trine with Saturn because it's a very positive aspect. And it means something like, your will or your ambition is meeting your commitment to a higher purpose. So there's something about that going on Monday that's sort of carrying us through with the Sagittarius moon in conjunction to Venus, which brings me to the evening. The moon will make that conjunction in the evening at 6:50 p.m. And that is beautiful. Like I said earlier, that means that we feel supported. We feel like we are surrounded by friends and family that are all on the same page with us. It's in Sagittarius, so it's jovial, it's optimistic, it's hopeful. It means being surrounded by friends and family and relationships, spouses, lovers, that kind of a thing. And you are feeling in alignment with those people. So that is really nice. Now, the card that I picked for Monday is the Eight of Swords reversed. And this is actually a really great card to get reversed because it means that you are no longer feeling trapped or you are no longer feeling captured by something. There is something in your life that you were feeling trapped by, and now you are no longer feeling that way. You figured out a way to get out of it. And because it is the swords, we're talking about something that had to do with your mental landscape. So in some way, on a mental level, you felt trapped. And now you have sort of thought your way out of it. You've figured out a strategy and you are no longer doing whatever it was where you felt trapped. All right, let's go ahead and pick a clarification card. We've got the Eight of Wands. So that's really nice. It's another 8. That's very interesting. 8 means success and mastery and completion, on the way to completion. So the 8 of Wands is a really nice card. It means fast messages are coming in and there's a lot of activity and creativity that's going on, and a lot of thoughts and ideas could be coming in that have to do with work or career or something like that. So you did something that is bringing new opportunities to you because of this new way of thinking. It's something about a new way of thinking that is opening doors for you. So I like that. I like that energy for Monday a lot. Let's go ahead and advance the chart to Tuesday, November 5th, 2024. So here we have the moon in Sagittarius. She starts out in Sagittarius, the adventurous Sagittarius, and she moves into Capricorn, the practical, down to business Capricorn, in the middle of the morning. So this is a transition day because you can see here the moon is at 29 degrees, the anaretic degree. She's going to be moving into Capricorn, I believe, at 10:17 a.m. Eastern time. The sun is now at 13 degrees Scorpio, 38 minutes. And we do have Mars here. Transiting Mars is now at 0 degrees Leo, 28 minutes of arc. So he's moved just a little bit ahead. Jupiter is now at 20 degrees Gemini, 6 minutes retrograde. Uranus is still retrograde at 25 degrees Taurus. Neptune is retrograde at 27 degrees Pisces. And Saturn is still retrograde at 12 degrees Pisces. Transiting Pluto is direct at 29 degrees Capricorn, 47 minutes, just 13 minutes of arc away from ingressing into Aquarius for the final time and no longer going to be in Capricorn for the rest of our lives. So let's go ahead and go through the transits of Tuesday, and talk about what is going on. So early in the morning, we have 3 transits. We have the moon in a quincunx to Uranus, the moon in a semi-square to the sun. So she's starting to gain light. She's a nice crescent moon. So on Tuesday night, you should be able to see her in the sky, rising just above the western horizon after sunset as a nice crescent moon, or sliver, like a nice little sliver. And then we also have the moon completing her square to Neptune before she makes that ingress into Capricorn. So moon quincunx Uranus means that something is happening, but we are feeling very odd about it. Quincunx means change and separation, but what I have noticed in my own life when I've been tracking quincunxes is that whatever happens feels very odd. It's like a twilight moment. So with Uranus and the moon, this could be something that suddenly happens, or there's a surprise, since Uranus is chaos and volatility and unexpected events. And the moon is our emotions. So something happens that kind of throws you off emotionally and you're not quite sure how to integrate it. Then the moon makes that square to Neptune. And this could be what it's all about. Not really sure. But the square to Neptune represents lies, deception, illusion, disillusionment, fog. Something is hidden in a fog and we don't know what to make of it. We are feeling uncertain. There's illusion. We're just not able to see something clearly with this square to Neptune. Now, since this is election day, November 5th in the United States, I think that what this means, the moon square Neptune, means that we will not know the results of the election on this day. It's just too foggy. And also we have this semi-square with the sun, which means trying to push for something and not getting anywhere. It's a 45-degree angle, which is half of a square. So it's like trying to get somewhere, trying to take an action, but we can't. So it's like we are putting out the effort. You know, people are voting and all that kind of stuff. And there's people who are counting the ballots or whatnot, however that works with the machines and whatever. But I don't know all the details about that. But that means not getting anywhere. And with the square to Neptune, that means everything being in a fog and there being a lot of uncertainty in the air. Now, moving on to mid-morning. So let's go ahead and advance this just a little bit till mid-morning. The moon comes into Capricorn at 10:17 a.m. Now, the moon is in detriment in Capricorn. And so what that means is that it's in the opposite position of where the moon is at home. Now, the moon is at home in Cancer. So Capricorn is the opposite sign to Cancer. So the moon is said to be in detriment. Now, the moon in Capricorn is more business-like. It's less emotional than when it is in Cancer. And so it could feel a little bit foreign because there's a little bit of get down to business type of energy. It's time to manage things. It's time to restructure things. It's time to get things done. It's time to, take action on things and rebuild structures and, make sure that the business of our lives is working. So when the moon's in Capricorn, that's what we're going to be doing. Now, I think it's really interesting on election day that the moon is moving into her detriment in Capricorn, and it has that business-like attitude where we just need to get down to business and do what we're supposed to be doing. One of the things that I always think of when the moon is in Capricorn is The Fourfold Way by Angeles Arian, which is show up, pay attention, do your best, and be open to the outcome. And I think that that is a very Capricornian type of motto. And I think it's a really good one to keep in mind when the moon's in Capricorn. All right. So after that, then she makes a quincunx to Mars. Now you can see that here with this nice green line. So that again, earlier in the day, we had the feeling with the sesquiquadrate, moon sesquiquadrate Mars, that we couldn't yet do the actions that we wanted to take. We couldn't do the things we wanted to do. But now mid-morning, we are feeling more able, but it still feels odd. It feels surreal. There's something off about the actions that we want to take. It's a little bit weird. Or it could just be that it's election day and it's totally out of the norm, like what we're doing as, just speaking for myself and those of us in America who are going to be going out and voting, if you're going to vote, you could be doing something different. And even if you're not going out to vote, you are witnessing the whole election taking place. And you might in other countries be witnessing the election taking place as well. So it's something that doesn't happen very often, that is out of the ordinary. That's the quincunx that is bringing in that element. Now, the most important thing that I think is happening today, And I'm going to go ahead and advance this to 9:30-ish or 9. Here we go. Is that the moon is going to be squaring the nodes from the southern bending. So you can see here that the moon is in square to the north and south node. Now, this is very, very significant. It means that there is an event that is taking place in your personal life, and we all are going to be experiencing an event. The moon in mundane astrology also represents the people as a whole. It represents crowds, it represents groups, it represents mothers, it represents children. But it represents the people as a whole. And so there is a personal event that is happening, that's taking place, that is affecting your private life and your own home life on this day. And I think that that's very interesting that that is going on this day. All right, now the card that I picked for Tuesday is the King of Pentacles. Now, the King of Pentacles is somebody who has self-mastery over their physical world and their mundane world and their material world. So they have built a life for themselves where they can take care of themselves monetarily. They can physically take care of themselves in terms of like having a healthy, strong body and whatnot, and mastering exercise or whatever. And they've built a life that is secure and stable. And so there's something about harnessing this energy today that's going to be very helpful, and just being very secure in your own self and your own actions and your own, feelings of self-sufficiency and abilities and capabilities. Okay. Now let's pick our tool card to go along with that. Ooh, the Fool. The Fool is our tool card. That is really wonderful because that means, trusting the universe, taking a risk, and taking a leap of faith. The thing about the Fool card is that the person always is stepping out over the edge of this cliff, and they are expecting the universe to catch them. So I think that that is really wonderful. This is a really good combination for Tuesday. This means, stand in your power, take risks, and expect that the universe is going to support you in whatever you are doing. I think this is really healthy reading for Tuesday. Okay, so here we are on Wednesday. The sun is now at 14 degrees Scorpio, 38 minutes. We have the moon in Capricorn here. The moon is going to be in the realistic and practical sign of Capricorn all day. Mercury is now at 5 degrees of Sagittarius. And Venus has moved to 23 degrees of Sagittarius. Everything else is pretty much the same in terms of the outer planets. They really haven't moved that much by the time we get to Wednesday. So let's go ahead and go through the transits for Wednesday. In the morning, the moon will perfect a sesquiquadrate to Uranus. Then Mercury is going to be making a sesquiquadrate to Chiron. The moon has now moved to 12 degrees of Capricorn and will be perfecting a sextile to Saturn. And so that is really, really nice. So those feelings of sadness and isolation that we were feeling on Monday are going to be dissipating on Wednesday. Now, the sesquiquadrate from Mercury to Chiron means that there's like a delay in healing, or, a delay in our wound. There's something that we're trying to resolve, but it's not really going to happen on Wednesday. And the sesquiquadrate to Uranus also means, from the moon to Uranus, also means some sort of delay or setback. So there could be something that happens, since Uranus represents chaos and volatility. There could be something that happens on Wednesday that throws you off and throws off your whole schedule. And so then you have to kind of like go with the flow. There's some sort of delay that disrupts your day. That's basically what that means. All right. Now, if we move into the afternoon, so the moon perfects a sextile to the sun in the afternoon, and still within range of that Saturn sextile. This is really nice. This is reactivating their recent trine that we just had. And this means that there are possibilities in the air. There are things available to you. This is some green lights or some doors that have opened, and you are now able to take them if you choose, okay? This is good support for whatever, new intentions you set out with on the new moon in Scorpio. This is kind of like getting some green lights or having some doors open for you along those lines. In the evening, Mercury is going to be making positive aspects to the nodes, and I think that this is the biggest thing that is happening on Wednesday, is that Mercury is making these positive aspects to the nodes. This means that communications and transportations are going to be going smoothly today. Now, this could be the first time that we hear about the election results here in America. Now, this is going to be happening, perfecting at 9:31 p.m. Eastern time is when Mercury will be making those nice aspects to the nodes, which is, the evening, the evening of the next day after election day. So it's very possible that we could know the results by then, but I don't think that we will, but we could hear something, or we could get an announcement that seems positive, or hopeful, or some sort of announcement on Wednesday night. Now, the moon will also make a quincunx to Jupiter on Wednesday night at 11:37 p.m. as well. So the quincunx to Jupiter means some sort of change or separation with something that we believe in that feels very, very weird, or sort of like blows our mind in some way. We're not sure what to think about it. So that has something to do with our beliefs or our vision for the future. And there's something that we have to integrate or figure out how to work with emotionally on Wednesday. All right, so let's talk about the card. And you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to make my screen bigger for this card section here. Okay, now the card that I got for Wednesday is from this funny deck that I have. And it says, there is nothing you can do. I'll hold it upright so you can see what it looks like here. There is nothing you can do. Oh, I should flip this around. I wonder if I can do that. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, there is nothing you can do. All right, and it's in reverse. So what this card means is basically that there's a feeling that there is nothing that you can do, like you don't have any control. But in the reverse situation, this is saying that there is something that, the answers that you're looking for are within yourself, and you have to look inside for them. It's not necessarily something outside of yourself that is going to give you the access, the ability to do anything or to respond. It's something that is within yourself. Let's see if we can get some more clarity. And we have 10, the Wheel of Fortune. So this is really good. This means luck. This means, this is a lucky break. This is the wheels turning. This is fortune turning in your favor. So there's something about feeling a little despondent. Okay, the mirror thing is messing me up. There's something about feeling a little despondent and like you just don't have any control. Well, here's a confirmation. Yeah, you don't have any control. This is the Wheel of Fortune. This is, life. This is cycles. This is just how life goes. These cycles, the wheel turns on and on, but it is a sign of good luck. It's a sign of prosperity. It's a sign of things flipping on their heads and things going in your favor and you just feeling lucky because of it. It's just some sort of like little good luck token. So I kind of like these together. It means, having a little bit more hope and optimism in the face of adversity or challenge, or feeling, like you don't have control over your situation. All right, let's go on to the next day. Okay, so here we are on Thursday. The sun is now at 15 degrees Scorpio, 38 minutes. Mars has actually moved to 1 degree of Leo, 7 minutes. So he finally hit that 1 degree point. He is a little bit off of the opposition to Pluto, which we just had over the weekend, which really, really made things very, very tense over the weekend as we led up to the beginning of the week, right? But now he's finally off of that 0 degree. He's, a little less than 2 degrees away now from Pluto. So that is good. The moon on Thursday starts out in Capricorn and then enters Aquarius later in the evening. She has to go through Pluto first, though. So that is a hard transit. Moon and Pluto together is always a really, really hard time. Venus has now moved to 24 degrees Sagittarius, and Mercury has moved to 6 degrees of Sagittarius. Jupiter has retrograded back to 19 degrees Gemini, 56 minutes, but everything else is pretty much at the same location that it was the day before. So let me go ahead and take this off. Let's go ahead and go through the transits of the day. So late last night, the moon made a square to Chiron. And then she made a semi-square to Mercury. And so late last night, there could have been some feelings of, feeling wounded and feeling about that and wanting to talk about it, but not knowing exactly what to say. Then early this morning, the moon made a trine to Uranus. And that means that something chaotic, volatile, came in and kind of like spun things around this morning, but in a good way. The trine is of the nature of Jupiter, and so that is actually a blessing. So something came out of the blue that actually kind of like shook things up and then made your day kind of like go a totally different way, but it's good. You like it. There's something about it that is exciting and fun, and you're open to it. In the afternoon, the moon perfects a sextile to Neptune and a semi-square to Saturn. So that means that there's some sort of opportunity for some sort of feel-good moment. The sextile to Neptune means that there's an opportunity to kind of like take a nice pleasurable escape. Maybe you have some time to read a book, maybe you have some time to listen to music or take a nice walk in the afternoon, but something like that where you get sort of like a little bit of R&R time in the afternoon. The semi-square to Saturn means that there's something serious that you're thinking about or that you're feeling that you aren't really ready to make any commitments about. And so the semi-square is representing that you're thinking about it, but there's not enough, you don't have enough feeling behind it to actually take action on it yet. Or you could be trying to take action on something and getting a big fat no, because Saturn can represent no's and the semi-square can represent also no's. And so you could be trying to do something and getting a big fat no. Then in the evening, the moon will conjoin Pluto for the very last time in Capricorn in our lives. Of course, she's going to conjoin Pluto next month, but he will be in Aquarius by the time she does that. So this is the very last time that the moon and Pluto are meeting up with Capricorn. This is really significant, especially since we are having an election here in America. Pluto is on the United States natal Pluto still within a couple of degrees. This is the last time, once he ingresses into Aquarius, he's going to be off that degree, off that sensitive point of the United States. And so this is like the people really getting in touch with those hard truths, those deep emotions about the transformation that is happening in the United States of America. And this could be a really, really sensitive moment. We could feel very emotional with the moon in conjunction to Pluto, especially with all of the turbulent stuff that's going on. Now, I am filming this on Sunday, November 3rd. So if anything has happened up until this point, I'm not aware of it yet, since we're talking about November 7th, and this is after the election. So I have no idea exactly what has happened, at this time on November 7th, but the moon represents the people and it represents emotions, and Pluto is hard truths and sacrifice and survival and crisis and, life or death situations. So this could definitely be, where you feel sort of a life or death situation. And it's in your personal life. There's an emotional attachment to it. And of course, it could be some sort of crisis moment in your family or something to do with a loved one or a female figure in your life that's very important to you. So we always have to think about that when the moon is conjunct Pluto. Oftentimes in my own personal life, when the moon and Pluto get together, I see scary spiders or scary snakes. And I even have a video on my YouTube channel of the last snake that I saw, which was a copperhead out my back door during a Pluto moon conjunction. So seriously, it's when your fears kind of come up and you feel like, oh, you have this sort of like life or death moment. I mean, that snake could have bit me, right? I mean, I was not very far away. So you have sort of these like confrontations with, things in your life that you're afraid of, because Pluto brings things up from the dark, pulls things out from the shadows, and you have to face them. So in Capricorn, there is a lot about our security and stability and the structures and foundations that we have in our lives that we are a little bit afraid of collapsing, right? So when the moon, because Pluto destroys things in order to rebuild them. So that's why I said that in terms of collapsing. It's a little bit of that like phoenix moment, where the phoenix will die and then rise again. So Pluto will unearth things in order to, the fire will go through or the explosion will happen and, like the fire will burn the hillside or the forest or whatever in order, things die in order for new growth to come up, because Pluto wipes the slate clean and completely obliterates whatever was there in order to bring that new life through. Okay. And it always sucks in the moment, but then it's always beautiful in the end. There's always something really nice and beautiful. When you look back on it, you go, oh yeah, I would have never done that. I would have never taken that chance or whatever. if that thing hadn't happened or whatever, and pushed me into doing that. Pluto represents irrevocable change. So we are going through an irrevocable change, and the moon and Pluto are meeting up on Thursday, November 7th, 2 days after the election in America. And there is a big change that the people are going through emotionally. So that is happening, and it is intense. Now, that happens at 5:37 p.m. And then right after that, at 5:57 p.m., the moon will ingress into Aquarius. So let's just advance the chart until we can see it ingress into Aquarius. There we go. The moon has now moved into Aquarius, and now she's beginning her opposition to Mars. So this is definitely feeling like a life or death situation that is building up, especially since we just had Mars and Pluto opposing each other on Sunday, November 3rd. So now it is personal. Now we are really feeling this opposition, this life or death situation, this power struggle, something like that, where we are having to choose to transform and grow and accept this irrevocable change or fight for something. And there's a big power struggle going on, and that Mars and Leo really wants to fight with courage and ambition. So the moon opposite Mars in our personal lives can mean fights, arguments, debates, really heated debates. The moon in Aquarius is, rather detached emotionally and can look at things in a very scientific, practical, realistic way. And so it's like, a scientist analyzing something, but having like like an animal, like trying to attack them or something like that. And they're like, whoa, but they're not reacting emotionally to it because they're like, oh, this is just the nature of the animal, right? Okay. So there's that kind of feeling going on that I'm getting from this particular transit. Now, there is something about, on the other side of it, with Mars, there is something about fighting for something from our heart space, being passionate and, coming from the heart space and fighting for what we believe in and standing up for things, fighting with courage, right? So there's something about having to look at things with a level head, but also looking at things from our heart space and wanting to fight for what we believe in. But emotionally processing things from that detached, unemotional point of view, okay? And the opposition always means a decision or a dilemma that is coming up. You're feeling pulled in two different directions, or you're feeling like a tug of war or something like that. So there is something that we, are having a desire or drive about, some sort of passionate, something we are identifying with. And then there's also something that we feel. So we need to stay strong and be patient. Also, with moon opposite Mars, kids could be acting up. There could be accidents. We could hear things in the news about accidents or fights or something aggressive or volatile or something like that. People may be very grabbed by this transit. And so definitely stay on your toes. All right. Then after that, at 9:20 p.m., Venus in Sagittarius will make a quincunx to Uranus. So that represents some sort of change or separation from something that we value, something that we desire, something that we believe in, that we're attached to with our beliefs. And something has sort of like knocked that out and created some chaos, some upheaval, some disruption, or some sort of revolutionary feelings going on. So this could be us feeling very odd about values or money, finances, or very odd, something is going on that is uncomfortable in our relationships. Or, something could be really surprising with the way that it looks right now. And there could be disruptions or chaos that is happening. Uranus just represents flying factors, and Venus is our values, money, and relationships. So there's some sort of flying factor that's going on that is sort of disrupting one of those things, and it's just making things ugly right now. Like things are just ugly right now with the quincunx there. There's something that's kind of throwing things out of balance and out of a harmonious, place of beauty or whatnot, right? All right, moving on to the cards for Thursday. When I picked the cards, two cards came out. The first one that I got is the Six of Bones. And the Six of Bones means, in reverse, it's like the Six of Wands. And so it means feeling unsuccessful or something not going according to the way that you had hoped that it would go. Or it's about having a private success. So something, you won in some way in a private way. And then additionally, another card popped out, and it is the Two of Pentagrams. Now, the Two of Pentagrams, let's see, the Two of Pentagrams, is about juggling all of your accounts. It's about juggling your duties. It's about staying on top of things and doing a good job. But in the reverse position, it means that you're kind of dropping the ball, for some reason. So something's getting in the way of you being able to manage your accounts. And maybe it's this feeling of loss or lack, or feeling unsuccessful, like you didn't win. There's something about that, about, maybe being depressed about it or something. Let's see what the Light Seers Tarot has to say. Ooh, the Ace of Cups. So the Ace of Cups is about a new beginning and a new beautiful love coming in, or loving feelings, or, being in love with something. And so this could have a lot to do with the relationship stress that's going on, that I talked about with the moon opposite Mars, and also the quincunx with Venus and Uranus. There could just be a lot of relationship stress going on with these three cards, and you're just not getting what you wanted to get done, and it's causing some sort of stress in your relationship. So take a deep breath, take a pause, try to think before you speak, and try to be loving and compassionate with one another. I mean, that's the best advice I have for you about that. Sometimes the best thing to do is nothing until you feel a little bit better. You could just be processing emotions and needing some space and time to do that. And so could your partner, or the relationship, that whatever these cards are talking about for you, that could be going on. Here we are on Friday, November 8th, 2024. The sun has moved to 16 degrees of Scorpio. We've got Mercury here at 7 degrees of Sagittarius. Venus is now at 26 degrees Sagittarius. The moon is in Aquarius, and she's going to be in Aquarius all day. Saturn is still at 12 degrees Pisces. Neptune is at 27 degrees Pisces. Both of them are retrograde still. We have the nodes at 5 degrees of Aries and Libra. We have Chiron at 20 degrees Aries retrograde, Uranus at 25 degrees Taurus retrograde, and Jupiter is still at 19 degrees Gemini retrograde. Mars is also still at 1 degrees Leo, 25 minutes. He hasn't moved to the second degree, or the third degree, I guess you could say. But he hasn't moved to that second degree yet. Now that we've gotten our bearings on Friday, let's go ahead and talk about what's going on. Now, the moon in Aquarius is going to be making positive aspects to the nodes today, and that means that things are going to be going along relatively smoothly for the day. So that is nice. The moon is also going to be making a sextile to Mercury. So again, that's also nice in terms of communication, going smoothly, and transportation going along without a hitch. That is really nice. So Friday looks pretty good. Let's see. In the afternoon on Friday, the moon will be making a semi-square to Venus and a semi-square to Neptune, as Venus is applying to her square to Neptune, which will perfect on Saturday. So the moon is kind of bridging the gap between Venus and Neptune. So we might feel this particular aspect starting to come in on Friday a little bit more heavily, even though it's perfecting on Saturday. So we'll talk about that when we get to Saturday's transits. But basically, this means that there's something not right in our relationships that is coming up, and it's coming up on Friday emotionally. Things are starting to get a little bit challenging and tense on Friday, relationship-wise. Okay, those are all the transits that we have going on for Friday. So let's go ahead and talk about the card that I picked. The card that I got for Friday from a totally different deck is the same card I got yesterday. This one is called the Six of Pipes, and it means victory, just like the one that I got yesterday, the Six of Bones. You can see it here in the upright position. Now, the victory card in its reverse position, again, means that you're not feeling victorious. You feel like you lost out on something, or you missed the boat, or there's something that didn't go according to plan, and you're feeling, kind of down about it. And or it means that you had an internal private victory, and you are, celebrating, but you have to celebrate in a private way. So let's get some more clarity here. We've got the Five of Cups. The Five of Cups means that we are feeling, we're feeling lots of sorrow. We're feeling sorry for ourselves. We're feeling like, oh man, a bunch of stuff didn't work out. And even though we still have things that are working in our lives, we're just in this period of feeling kind of depressed and, upset about it. And that's okay. We can be in that period. We can allow ourselves to process our feelings and our emotions. We've got this square building up between Venus and Neptune, which can create a lot of emotional struggle and strife and, deception and lies and all sorts of, things going on relationship wise. So I think that these two cards are coming up to say, it's okay if you didn't win, if something didn't go according to plan. It's time to, process your emotions and then go ahead and pick yourself back up. Pick yourself back up. You've got all these beautiful cups and everything, these bowls full of fun stuff on this card or whatever. And you can pick those up and you can walk on the beautiful grass and you can continue on your journey. So there's definitely something about sort of like dusting it off, getting back up, dusting it off, and just continuing on, being resilient in that way. All right, let's go ahead and move on to Saturday. Okay, so the very first thing that happens on Saturday at 12:55 a.m., so this is actually really late Friday night, is we have the first quarter moon in Aquarius. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about this first quarter moon chart, because the first quarter moon chart, all the lunar phases are kind of like events on their own, right? And so this is a time of individuation. The first quarter moon is when the moon has reached the point in the sky where she is a beautiful half moon and she has illuminated herself on the right-hand side. You may notice her rise up around 3 o'clock-ish or something like that in the late afternoon. And then when the sun sets, she's going to be right overhead and she's going to be halfway full. It's going to be a beautiful half moon. And then she'll be going towards the western horizon as she begins her descent and starts to set. So that is the half moon. Now, the half moon represents a time of individuation. It's a crisis moment. It's a time to show yourself and break away from something. So it's time to take action on whatever intentions that you set in the new moon that we just had 1 week ago in Scorpio. So whatever intentions you set or new beginnings that were started, now it's time to actually take action on them. And so if you intentionally started something with the new moon, then now is a great time to take action on it and take that first step. If you didn't intentionally set something, that's totally fine. You may notice, though, that something started in your life and now there's like something about it that is starting to take more shape. And so some good questions to ask yourself when we are dealing with the first quarter moon are, what are you taking action toward today? What are you noticing taking shape? What are you strengthening? And what are you finding solutions for? Because we do have this moon in Aquarius. So this moon in Aquarius is going to be looking for solutions or looking for innovative ways to take action on the things that they wanted, on the things that you wanted to start a week ago. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and go through briefly the houses for each sun or rising sign that are going to be activated by this moon in Aquarius. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to highlight the moon in Aquarius. And then I'm going to highlight the sun or rising sign that I'm talking about. So we're going to start here with Aries. So for Aries rising, sun or rising, this first quarter moon is going to be happening in your 11th house of friends, allies, groups, and wishes. For Taurus rising, this first quarter moon in Aquarius is going to be happening in your 10th house of career, praxis, and the mother. For Gemini rising, this first quarter moon in Aquarius is going to be happening in your 9th house of foreign travel, higher education, and your beliefs. For Cancer rising, this first quarter moon in Aquarius is going to be happening in your 8th house of shared resources, inheritance, debt, and death. For Leo rising, this first quarter moon in Aquarius is going to be happening in your 7th house of marriage, partnership, and legal matters. For Virgo rising, this first quarter moon in Aquarius is going to be happening in your 6th house of stress, health issues, pets, employees, and coworkers. For Libra rising, this first quarter moon in Aquarius is going to be happening in your 5th house of children, pregnancy, and recreation. For Scorpio rising, this first quarter moon in Aquarius is going to be happening in your 4th house of home, family, roots, and ancestry, and landed property. For Sagittarius rising, this first quarter moon in Aquarius will be happening in your 3rd house of siblings, communication, and your local environment and local travel. For Capricorn rising, this first quarter square in Aquarius will be happening in your second house of money and possessions. For Aquarius rising, this will be happening in your first house of self, health, and character and behavior. For Pisces rising, this first quarter moon in Aquarius will be happening in your 12th house of blind spots, large animals, hidden enemies, and animals larger than a goat, as well as mental health. So whatever your rising sign is, your sun or rising, you can look at it in either of those. That's the house that's going to be activated, and you're going to see some sort of, you're going to start to see something take shape or some sort of action happen surrounding one of those topics that ties back into whatever your Scorpio house is where the new moon took place a week ago. So I wish you all a happy first quarter moon. Let's go ahead and move on to the rest of Saturday. So let's go ahead and advance the chart just a few hours to around 5 o'clock. Okay, so first thing on Saturday, after we have that first quarter moon, then the moon is going to actually be making a trine to Jupiter in Gemini. Now that is really, really nice. So Aquarius moon in a nice trine to Jupiter in Gemini. That means a great time for feel-good opportunities. You could have more confidence, more optimism. And it's a time when you can reap rewards, right? Because Jupiter is a planet of abundance and expansion and prosperity. So there's definitely something going on with sort of reaping some sort of rewards, something beautiful coming back to you that you've been putting out into the world. And it's a really good transit that shows a lot of optimism and feel good opportunities, blessings, hope, joy, aid, help, and, positive influences and people coming into your life. And so you may feel really good on Saturday. You could just be feeling really good about things because of this transit. Additionally, the moon's also going to be making a sextile to Chiron and reactivating that sextile between Chiron and Jupiter. So there could be a lot of healing and growth or wisdom that is gained from something that is going on, or wisdom from this good luck that's coming in. We did just have the Wheel of Fortune card a couple days ago. And so this could be, that good luck coming in that was predicted by that card. Something really nice could be happening, and it could be really healing. It could be soothing some sort of wound or insecurity or vulnerability that you've been feeling. Now, I do have to mention that the moon on Saturday is making frustrating aspects to the nodes. So it's not the best day to get things done or to go places, because those types of things could, end up having delays and setbacks. So it might be better to just plan on chilling out on Saturday and not doing a whole lot. Although we do have that first quarter square happening with the sun and the moon, which does represent action and taking action on things. But what if the action that you're taking is some form of inaction or some form of sitting back and watching the waves roll in or something like that, right? I don't know. But the moon in frustrating aspects to the nodes does mean delays and setbacks. So keep that in mind, that things may not go according to plan, even though we have that really nice trine with the moon and Jupiter. At 8:58 a.m., the Venus will perfect her square to Neptune in Pisces. So Neptune is at 27 degrees Pisces, 21 minutes, and Venus hits 27 degrees Sagittarius, 14 minutes, creating that square. Now, this is a very challenging aspect for relationships, values, and finances. So Neptune represents loss, deception, lies, and things being in a fog, uncertainty, not feeling like you can see the future, not feeling like you can see something clearly or someone clearly. When we're dealing with Venus and Neptune, there can be a weakness that is felt in our relationships or our desires or how we seek pleasure. We could be feeling like we want to escape, but it's a challenge or something like that. We could be feeling drained for some reason. Finances could be feeling lacking for some reason. There could be some sort of expenditure that you have to make, and then you're feeling kind of like, upset about that. Although we do have that nice trine with the moon and Jupiter, which is positive for finances. So there's a bit of a mixed bag going on there. You could just be feeling really, really tired of something, some sort of relationship issue that you're feeling tired of or having to deal with, or something beautiful is being eroded or, is having to withstand some sort of erosion or water damage. And there's something about, things being swept away with Neptune. So this is sort of like some sort of water damage or emotional issues that are going on in our relationships or with our finances or with something that we value a lot or that we find to be really beautiful or pleasurable. This is almost like dental decay or something like that. There's like something sweet with Venus, and then there's something that is eroding that, eroding something with Neptune. So some sort of relationship erosion. This could also just mean breakups. There's lies and deceptions, which could mean breakups or could mean cheating. People being unfaithful. This transit could be about somebody being unfaithful. So definitely watch out for that. Right, we have 3 more transits for Saturday. At 3:17 p.m., the moon is going to make a square to Uranus and Taurus. This means unexpected chaos or volatility in your life or something to do in your personal life. Something is disrupting your flow and causes some sort of chaos, and you could feel really emotional volatile with this. Then at 7:23 p.m., the moon makes a sextile to Venus, which is actually really nice and shows that something beautiful, there's some sort of beautiful opportunity for some sort of, loving exchange or feeling supported in some way or some nice evening with friends and family or something like that. So maybe, something disruptive happens, there's a lot of turmoil or there's like deception or lies or something, but then, things get better in the evening or you make up or something. If this has to do with relationships with you, then it has something to do with, kissing and making up kind of a thing, that kind of a thing. Things are going to get better towards the end of Saturday. And then the last transit of the day at 10:59 p.m., the moon is going to be entering Pisces. So let's go ahead and advance the chart. Here we go. So that's 10:55. Oh, we're on AM. So let's go ahead and advance the chart to the evening. And we can see the moon right here. There, it's entered Pisces now. So now we have the moon in Pisces on Saturday evening. So the Pisces moon is emotional, it's intuitive, it's psychic, it's a turbulent moon because it's a very fluid, reactive space. And so it's a good time to slow down and do artistic things, paint, draw, listen to music, get in touch with your intuitive, creative, artistic side. Pisces is all about that sort of otherworldly realm where we kind of like connect with that creative space and, that imaginary space. And so it's a good time to do that and, get into art and trust your intuition and those kinds of things. All right. So we're going to be having a Pisces moon all day on Sunday. We'll get into that in a second, but let me talk to you about the card that I pulled for Saturday. So the card that I pulled for Saturday is New Moon in Sagittarius. So the new moon in Sagittarius says luck is on your side. New moon in Sagittarius. So new moon is all about new beginnings and starting something and feeling that fresh, exhilarating excitement of something new and something starting. And Sagittarius is a hopeful, optimistic, adventurous sign that has to do with getting in touch with your beliefs, using your intuition, and getting down to the truth of the matter. So there is something about a new truth that is emerging for you, a new beginning, and it's lucky. You may feel really lucky. So I think that this card has to do with that moon trine Jupiter and the moon sextile Venus. That is really nice on Saturday. So, that means luck is on your side. So that even if there's things that are kind of like crazy with the Venus square Neptune, there's something that's really nice that's going on as well. Let's get another confirmation card. Yes, we have the Queen of Wands. The Queen of Wands is a master of her environment and her creativity, and she is really good at manifesting things and creating the life that she wants. And she's very generous and happy and outgoing and loving and gregarious. And so using that energy and stepping into your own authenticity, because luck is on your side. I love this. This is a really positive reading, and I think it goes along with the moon aspecting both benefics in a really positive way. So I think Saturday could be really good. Maybe the Venus square Neptune is not negative. Maybe it is more about having to take action, having to do something physical in order to get that sort of R&R release that we want with Neptune, that sort of relaxing into our space and our environment, or, having to play music or draw or paint or really get into something artistic on Saturday that helps us relax and kind of let go and drift off into that beautiful otherworldly realm. Or maybe it could mean that we have some really amazing dreams over the weekend. And there's something, some sort of surreal dream that is really interesting and means something to us. So anyway, let's move on to Sunday. So here we are on Sunday, November 10th, 2024. The sun is now at 18 degrees of Scorpio. We have Mercury at 10 degrees of Sagittarius. Venus has moved to 28 degrees Sagittarius. The moon is now in Pisces and will be in Pisces all day. She's going to be making a conjunction to Saturn by the end of the day at 12 degrees Pisces. Neptune is at 27 degrees Pisces retrograde. Saturn's also retrograde. We have Chiron still at 20 degrees Aries, Uranus at 25 degrees Taurus retrograde. Both of those are retrograde. Jupiter is still at 19 degrees of Gemini retrograde. Mars has now moved to 2 degrees of Leo, and the nodes are still at 5 degrees of Libra and Aries. All right. So let's go ahead and go through the transits of the day. Of course, the most notable transit for Sunday on the 10th is the moon meeting up with Saturn. But let's go through. There's only a few transits going on Sunday. Let's go through those one by one and talk a little bit more about the moon and Saturn when we get there. Okay, so at 2:20 a.m., the moon in Pisces formed a quincunx to Mars in Leo when she hit 2 degrees of Pisces. She formed that quincunx to Mars in Leo. So that means the quincunx means change and separation, and it's between our feelings and our actions. So something feels odd or off between our feelings and our actions. And we want to do something, but it doesn't feel like we're like emotionally aligned with it or something like that. It may lack a higher purpose. It might be something that is just really mundane. And so we don't feel driven to do it when the moon is in Pisces, because we want that higher purpose connection when the moon is in that spiritual sign of Pisces. Then at 7:39 a.m., the moon in Pisces makes a semi-square to Chiron in Aries retrograde. So that could be some sort of block in our healing journey, or some sort of setback, or something that we're just mulling over and we don't know how to express yet. Then at 5:19 p.m., the moon in Pisces will perfect a square to Mercury in Sagittarius. Now, this could be hard. This could represent some arguments, some miscommunications. It could also represent some transportation issues, or issues, working with other people. Moon and square to Mercury does not go well for trying to get stuff done that you have to do, paperwork, school, anything like that. Or, some sort of, having to go places. It can mean some struggle and tension when it comes to those things, communication and travel and collaboration efforts, right? And this could also go with the fact that the moon is meeting up with Saturn as well. So after she makes that square to Mercury, then she can join Saturn at 8:39 p.m. So let me go ahead and put a circle there. Okay, so at 8:39 p.m., the moon makes that conjunction to Saturn, and that is a reality check moment. That is really hard. It can be used for doing something that requires a lot of endurance and discipline and seriousness, but most of the time I hear from people that they feel sad, isolated, and lonely when the moon is with Saturn. And in a square to Mercury, this could be feeling really sad and isolated from other people, and not in a good way. It's like wanting to have conversations with people, but you feel estranged and you can't have conversations because they just end up in fights. So this could have something to do, in America, this could have something to do with the election. Maybe people are feeling sad and worried and upset and alone with their feelings, and they don't feel like they can have civil conversations with other human beings. And that would be really, really sad, right? It's my hope that we can all come together with whatever happens after this election and really hold space for each other and each other's emotions and how we're feeling, so that we can listen to one another. And even if we have differing views, we're all going to be going through lots of different turbulent emotions. And I suspect by this coming Sunday, the 10th of November, if we still haven't found out the results of, the election, everybody's going to be feeling pretty lonely and upset and melancholic. And if we have found out the results of the election, and the person that you wanted to win didn't, you could be feeling really sad on the weekend. So it's really interesting because on Saturday we have those positive aspects between the moon and Jupiter and Venus, and then on Sunday we have the moon coming together in a negative aspect with Mercury and a conjunction with Saturn. So that's a very stark difference. That's like a really beautiful, happy, sunny day on Saturday, and then like a dismal, rainy, foggy day on Sunday. So, just hang in there. If you are going through a lot of emotions and you are having a lot of turbulent feelings with this election, as I suspect a lot of people are, or just in general, if you're not in America and you're watching this from another country, do leave me a comment down below. I'd love to know, are you watching this from another country? You could be feeling this just in your own life. You could be feeling sad and isolated and lonely and wanting to talk and not being able to communicate for some reason. Okay, let's go on to the card that I picked for Sunday. All right, now the card that I pulled for Sunday is Judgment. Now, this is Q from Star Trek: The Next Generation. Now, the Judgment card means being called to rise up to your destiny, to rise up to your calling. This is when, the Judgment card speaks of that time when, after death, when you go through the gates or whatever, and your soul is weighed against the feather or whatnot, and and it's sort of like the universe is asking you, what have you learned and what do you have to show for it? You need to rise up to your calling. You need to show up for your destiny. And I just wanted to read to you what the little book says about this card with Q from the Star Trek: The Next Generation tarot deck. I haven't read this yet, but I marked it. But I just love what this book says about the cards in relationship to Star Trek and also the tarot. I just find it to be really fascinating. So, Judgment, Q. So I'm going to read this here. Judgment reigns over inner awakenings, higher callings, and important decisions. When the omnipotent being Q puts humanity on trial for being a dangerous, childlike race, the crew of the Enterprise must prove him wrong. Wow. If we are the crew of the Enterprise, then we need to prove Q wrong, that we are not a childlike race. Hello, Mars in Leo, which has a playfulness, a childlike side. Leo is the epitome of that childlike behavior. Wow. Okay. Dangerous, childlike race. We need to prove Q wrong. Okay. Their success at Farpoint Station earns them a favorable verdict, but Q continues to keep a watchful eye on this young and sometimes foolish civilization. Is that not so great, or what? In the upright position, just as humanity's potential is finally recognized by Q, you have also been judged and found worthy. At the end of a long mission, your dedication and efforts will be rewarded, and you will gain a greater appreciation of yourself and your place in the universe. I love that. So this is saying that we have earned a favorable verdict, right? So we're rising up to our calling and we're being judged, but we have earned a favorable verdict. So I really like that. And I think that means that, maybe, just maybe with this election, everybody's going to behave themselves. Maybe. I don't really think that we need a tool card for that. I think that is a really beautiful way to end the week with the Judgment card upright. And I think that it just speaks for itself. It's a major arcana. I think we can leave it at that. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this weekly horoscope. Remember, if you are watching this all the way through, that on the actual days, you can use the timestamps in the description below to jump to the day that you want to listen to. So you can come back and check in on the transits every morning or whatnot, so you can kind of get an overview of what the day is going to be like. Now, At the end of the week on Friday, I do have a horary chart example. It's actually 2 charts in one because they're kind of quick horaries, so I decided to put 2 together, and those are 2 lost item charts that I'm going to be discussing with you and showing you guys the charts for, and those are really fun. I find it so fascinating that you can cast a chart to find something that you lost in your house or whatnot, and the chart tells you where to go find it. So if you've never heard about a lost item horary chart before, then stay tuned, hit that notification bell so that you are notified when that video goes live on Friday. All right, I wish you guys the best. I hope you guys have a beautiful week through this. And if you are in America, I wish you lots of love and blessings with this election. And please be safe out there if you decide to go out and about and decide to vote. Be safe out there. I have no idea exactly what is going to happen, but it's going to be something that we probably won't ever forget. All right. Love you guys. Talk to you later. Bye.